Good day. Today I'm going to show you the actual way to deal with 90s and 270s in trigonometry. We are going to deal with situations like sine minus 270 plus x or sine minus x minus 90. These are examples of things that we're going to deal with. If you want to learn how to solve angles bigger than 360, for instance, sine 810 minus x, the video is at the end of this video. It is also found right here on the top right of the screen at the suggested video. So, let's begin. So, first of all, you are told to memorize the rules of the quadrant. How that in quadrant 1 is x, in quadrant 2 is 180 minus x, in quadrant 3 is 180 plus x, in quadrant 4 is 360 minus x. So, the same way you're told to memorize these rules, please memorize these ones. It is just as important as the first one. This is quite easy to memorize. This is not difficult to memorize. It is in fact quite easy to memorize. For instance, in quadrant 1, since the angle is less than 90, it has to be 90 minus something. And in quadrant 2, since it's greater than 90, it has to be 90 plus something. In quadrant 3, since it is less than 270, it has to be 270 take away something or 270 minus something. In quadrant 4, since it is above 270, it has to be 270 plus something. So please memorize this as much as you have memorized the first diagram. You can pause the video and memorize this. So let's deal with level 1. So we have got 90 plus x. So whenever we see a 90 or 270, sine will change to cos and cos will change to sine. So whenever we see 90 or 270, sine changes to cos or cos changes to sine. This is very important. For instance, let's just look at this example. So we've got sine 90 plus x. As you can see, it is in the second quadrant, and in the second quadrant, only sine is positive. So the weird thing about it is that because sine is positive in the second quadrant, when it changes to cos, cos will be positive. Even though cos is usually negative in the second quadrant, if whatever gave birth to it was positive, it will be positive in that quadrant. If whatever gave birth to it was negative, it will be negative in that quadrant. So, because this is in the second quadrant and sine is positive in the second quadrant, what it changes to will be positive. Therefore, in this case, we're going to have it as cos x. Alright, let's deal with the second example. So we've got cos 270 plus x. So, cos 270 plus x is in the fourth quadrant. So, cos 270 plus x is in the fourth quadrant. And in the fourth quadrant, cos is positive. So therefore, when it changes to sine, sine will be positive. Because whatever gave birth to it was positive in the fourth quadrant. So therefore, sine will be positive. So, therefore, because we know we saw 270, whenever we see 90 or 270, we know sine will change to cos and cos will change to sine. So because cos is positive in the fourth quadrant, what it changes to will be positive. So therefore, it's going to be sine x. And there we have it. Just before I continue, if you want to be tutored, whether it is online or physically, whether it is the situation where you're struggling in maths or whether it is the situation where you're good in maths but want perfection, take a screenshot or save these details. Whether you're studying Cambridge, which is the UK curriculum, or whether you're studying NSC, which is the South African curriculum, or IEB, or native courses which start from N1 to N6, or any curriculum you're doing no matter which country you're at, we offer tutorials. We've got lessons and practice sessions 5 days a week. We also give you tests once a week so that we can check your improvements. Alright, before we go a little bit higher, this is the third example. So, we know that sine 270 minus x is in the third quadrant. So we know that wherever we see 90 or 270, sine will change to cos and cos will change to sine. So, we know that in the third quadrant, sine is negative. So because sine is negative, whatever it gives birth to will be negative. So therefore we're going to have negative cos x. And there we have it. So let's look at this stuff. We've got tan 90 minus x. So right here is where a lot of students make mistakes. So what you have to do whenever you see tan 90 minus x, you first have to change it into sine over cos. So it's going to be sine 90 minus x over cos 90 minus x. And therefore, we know that sine 90 minus x just changes to cos. So it's going to be cos x. And we know that cos 90 minus x changes to sine. So it's going to be sine x. So therefore, this becomes 1 over tan. So whenever we see this, we can change it to 1 over tan. But the better way is to change it into cos over sine, because this is often combined with sines and cos, so you would have to cancel sines and cos. So it's going to be best to change it into this form rather than this form. So here is another situation. We see that this is tan 90 plus x. Tan 90 plus x is in the second quadrant. So every time we see tan 90 or 270, we know that it is a must to change it first into sine over cos. So therefore we're going to have sine 90 plus x over cos 90 plus x. So from here, we have to check where is 90 plus x. 90 plus x is in the second quadrant. So in the second quadrant, sine is positive. So because it's positive, whatever it changes to will be positive. And then cos is negative in the second quadrant. So because it is negative in the second quadrant, whatever it changes to will be negative as well. So it's going to be negative sine x. So this is the same as negative 1 over tan. But it's usually best to leave it in this form, because often this thing is combined with some sines and cos. So you'd want to cancel them. So it will be better to leave it in this form so that it can cancel with either sine or cos that is next to it. Alright, here is another situation. So we know that whenever we see 270 or 90, we strictly first have to change it into sine over cos. So we're going to have sine 270 plus x over cos 270 plus x. So this is what we're going to have. So let's deal with sine 270 plus x first. So we know that sine 270 plus x is in the fourth quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant sine is negative. So because sine is negative, what it changes to will be negative. It means that cos in this case will be negative. So therefore it's going to change into cos, but cos will be negative because sine is negative in the fourth quadrant. And let's deal with this one. So cos 270 plus x. Cos 270 plus x is in the fourth quadrant. And in the fourth quadrant, cos is positive. So because it's positive, when it changes to sine, sine will be positive. So therefore we're going to have positive sine x. And it's best to leave it in this form, but if there is nothing to cancel with, you can further change it into negative 1 over tan x. And there we have it. Alright, here is another example. So in this particular situation, we're given a negative angle. I go into detail when it comes to negative angles in the video that I spoke about, which is at the end of this video. So whenever you see negative angles, you have to add 360 until you get something that you're more familiar with. So if we have negative 90, we're going to have 90 plus 360, and we'll get 270. So our goal is to get an angle that is So our goal is to get an angle that is less or equals. So our goal is to get a positive angle that is less or equals to 360. So in this case, this angle is positive and it is less than 360. We want an angle that is less or equals to 360. So therefore we can put it in place of negative 90. So therefore we're going to say sine 270 plus x. So in this case, this is now back to what we know. So 270 plus x is in the fourth quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant, sine is negative. And whenever we see 90 or 270, we know that sine changes to cos or cos changes to sine. So because sine was negative in the fourth quadrant, whatever it changes to, which is cos, will be negative in the fourth quadrant. And there we have it. So here is another example. We've got sine negative 450 plus x. So what do we do in this case? So we want to get a positive angle that is less or equals to 360. So therefore, we're going to say negative 450 plus 360. So negative 450 plus 360 is negative 90. We still didn't yet get what we want, so we're going to add 360 again. So negative 90 plus 360 is 270, and we have what we want. So therefore, it's going to be sine 270 plus x. And this is same as previous. It's in the fourth quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant, sine is negative. So therefore, when it changes to cos, cos will be negative. And there we have it. I go into detail in negative angles in the video that I spoke about, which is at the end of this video. So this brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Any video you want me to create, please comment below. If the numbers I have provided in my advertisement are not working, please comment below.